If you ask people of a certain age what memories they have of the television program The $6 Million Man, you'll likely get the following responses. Slow motion running. That da-na-na-na sound. Fembots. The toy line. And Bigfoot. Hello, I'm Brian, and this is a show I do called Toy Ventures. And today our subject is the Kenner Bionic Bigfoot, the action figure made for a very special guest star on an iconic television program, namely The $6 Million Man. Let's give a backstory on how all of this happened. After 3 successful TV movies, the $6 Million Man television series debuted on ABC the winter of 1974 with 13 episodes. These were all based on the novel Cyborg, but the show had found its theme as more of a spy series with a science fiction-y flavor. The show was an immediate smash with audience. Its iconic look, sound, and opening especially hit our pop culture radar. Kids were running slowly everywhere and making sounds every time they punched each other. I was there, and I was guilty of all of that. It was quickly renewed for a full series beginning the fall of 1974. The show's popularity prompted then minor player in the toy industry, Kenner, to pick up the license for the show. It launched in 1975 with a lone Steve Austin figure in a playset. The figure had all the bells and whistles a kid could want. You could see like Steve. It simulated his strength. And best of all, you could roll up his skin to see his bionics. That was awesome. Like the series, kids ate it up, and Bionic Mania had now hit the toy shelves. In 1976, Kenner followed up with a bunch of new items, including Maskatron, a spectacular toy that emulated the show's then only recurring villain, the robots of Dr. Dolan's. I've done a video on Maskatron, and I will leave a link here. However, it would take until the show's 3rd season, in an event two-parter, The Secret of Bigfoot, where Steve Austin would face his most popular adversary in the form of Sasquatch. $6 Million Man was a series that was never afraid to jump on the popular trends of the 1970s, such as sharks, UFOs, and while Bigfoot was really topical at the time, thanks to the multitude of books and movies like Boggy Creek, documentary films, Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of, Bigfoot was everywhere, and, happily, he was also a public domain character. The series made Bigfoot a cyborg guardian of an alien race trapped on Earth, and famous wrestler Andre the Giant portrayed him in the first two-parter. This was event television. The $6 Million Man series would never be the same after the first appearance of Bigfoot. He would return for the 4th season in the premiere with another two-parter, which was logically called The Return of Bigfoot. This time he would be played by actor Ted Cassidy, known for his deep voice and imposing stature. He was the voice of the Incredible Hulk. He was Lurch on the Addams Family. Cassidy would continue in the role for the rest of the series. Just want to note as well, Season 4 would also be the debut of another fan favorite villain, Death Probe, but more on that in another episode. Bigfoot's 5th appearance, titled Bigfoot 5, would come in the show's 5th and final season. This would not be a two-parter, it would just be a single episode. This did catch the attention of Kenner, and they would add Bigfoot to the line first in 1977, initially in the 3 3/4 inch format. This was under the Turbo Tower of Power brand. This was a racing series that they had been selling since the early 1970s, and there's a little bit of label slap with, new action figures. The figures were sculpted as riders, so they don't have a lot of articulation, but they are somewhat gorgeous, and I think they're some of my favorite things of the $6 Million Man brand. Although, Steve and Bigfoot never had a chase on weird quasi-motorcycles. In 1978, Kenner would bring 2 new foes to the toy line based on the most popular recurring villains, the aforementioned Death Probe and Bigfoot, billed as Bionic Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Beast. These two figures would prove to be the last for the very popular toy line, as the show and its spin-off, The Bionic Woman, were both canceled the spring of 1978, ending the era of Bionic that had ruled the 1970s. The Bigfoot figure itself is well sculpted, and it is clearly based on the Ted Cassidy version of the character. It is a head taller than Steve, which is a very nice attention to detail. It has the least amount of articulation in the line, only 4 points, and that's a part of the issue with this figure. The Kenner $6 Million Man toy line was incredible and known for the action features they imbued into each figure. Even Oscar Goldman, a character who has no power if you don't count the fashion sense, he had an extraordinary exploding briefcase that was a lot of fun. Like, they always knew they had to come up with some sort of gimmick. The main action gimmick on Bigfoot is his chest panel can be popped off in combat, which reveals his, inner robot workings. And there is also a place for Steve Austin's hand to fit in, so it grips the figure, and then you can simulate picking up Bigfoot. And that's about it. The Bigfoot figure had a very short time on the shelves before heading off to clearance with the rest of the line, and due to his importance in the series, that makes him very valuable and desirable on the secondary market, especially in the box. I mean, seriously, it's tough to collect $6 Million Man and not have a Bigfoot. If you look at every single attempt to do $6 Million Man merchandise since then, it's always opened with a Bigfoot and a Steve. Heck, there is even an action figure of Bigfoot itself in a series by Mattel where the name Steve Austin means something completely different. Kenner lost a big moneymaker in 1978. However, they ended up just being fine thanks to something else they picked up. Perhaps you heard of it. In fact, even the Bigfoot tooling would be reused for the 12-inch Chewbacca figure that was released in 1979 by Kenner. So everything kind of came up roses there. Bigfoot figures do suffer the same issues as the 12-inch Chewbacca and Darth Vader, and that's the elastic band snapping, leaving them kind of limbless. However, there is hope. We can rebuild them. We have the technology, and it's out there. I think you could check out probably Toy Polloi for that. I had the Bionic Bigfoot as a kid. It was really nice, but something I noticed about him years later when I was a teenager was how mint and complete he was. I never played with him like I did with Steve, Oscar, or Maskatron, who, if I could even find them, were really damaged. I also didn't have that same rush or warm feeling of nostalgia for this figure as I do for those others, despite loving the character on TV and the series. I'm often left wondering if it's the toy's minimalist design or how late in the game this figure arrived. I'm not sure what the culprit was. I got it for Christmas 1978. Christmas was always $6 Million Man items as far as I could actually remember. And the show, $6 Million Man, had not been on TV for months by that point. And, well, my head was in other things. I'll never really truly know why, but yeah, the Bigfoot is not my favorite figure in this series. Maskatron would be. Who is your favorite Kenner $6 Million Man figure? Let me know in the comments below, or you can hit me up in our Facebook group, Pod Stallions. That is all for me this week. Hey, if you like this channel and what I do, please check out my shop. We are on issue 6 of our old school print magazine, which is called Toy Ventures, based on this show. And my second book, Knockoffs, Totally Unauthorized Action Figures, is now available. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for looking. That's it for this week, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're new to this, please consider hitting like and subscribe. We do this every week. Until next time, as always, be well and talk toys, not other people. Cheers.